£650 a year. That's what American Express charges for their Platinum card in the UK, and more people are starting to ask whether it's actually worth it. Some cardholders are genuinely coming out ahead, while others are basically paying for a heavy piece of metal and a dining credit they keep forgetting to use. And the difference between those people usually comes down to one thing: how well they understand what they've actually signed up for. Because we've been through the full terms and conditions, the insurance policy, the lounge access rules, the hotel benefits, and the small print on the dining credit, which, by the way, if you're not careful, you could easily lose out on. And we're going to look at whether this card is actually getting worse and whether that £650 is still a rational decision in 2026 or just a very expensive status symbol. So Jan, if someone got approved for Amex Platinum today, what are they actually getting?
Johnny, they're getting quite a lot. And if they're lucky, they get an insane welcome bonus between 75,000 and 90,000 points that you get when you first sign up. In order to get that, you got to spend £10,000 within 6 months. Why 75,000 to 90,000? Because Amex seems to be A/B testing this offer, which I find not quite transparent.
Yeah.
I looked at the website a few times.
Yeah.
I've been getting different promotional offers, which I find weird, to be honest. Actually also looked it up in the Wayback Machine. I had a look at the page, how it looked yesterday, the day before, and it just kept changing. So how much are you actually getting? Probably depends on your luck.
Yeah.
Either way, it's a good welcome offer. You can spend these points directly through Amex's travel portal, or, for example, convert them one-to-one to Avios. I believe Virgin points as well, and a few other airline mile programs.
It's solid. I mean, you've got to qualify for it by spending £10,000 across a 6-month period, but that's £1,666 a month. Yeah, and I think most people that are signing up for a credit card that's worth £650, you should be able to get that. I mean, it does come with a minimum income, I think, of £35,000 to qualify. Possibly people earning 35K probably shouldn't be spending that much money a month just on like a credit card, if that's not inclusive of bills. But generally, I think most people should be able to get this welcome bonus. So you're going to have a great first year with this card. You also get £250 of Amex travel credit,
you get
right?
that as well. Probably super useful, but you have to use it within Amex's travel portal, which I've heard a few times that the pricing slightly varies. It's not always the cheapest option.
Yeah.
But, okay, if you have £250 worth of credit, then you might as well use it.
I've done a little bit of research myself when looking. You could get accelerated points for spending on the Amex travel portal, which could be beneficial, but ultimately I found that booking direct, and I think most people will agree, booking direct can be the cheapest option.
And let's not forget who doesn't qualify for the welcome bonus. People that held an Amex that had an Amex that earns rewards points within the last 24 months. And someone like you couldn't sign up, for example.
Yeah, exactly. I probably could get some type of upgrade bonus, which obviously isn't going to be 75 to 90,000 points. Just reach out to American Express and say you're interested in the Platinum card, and I'm sure they'll make you an offer that you can't refuse.
Yeah, now that we talked about the welcome bonus, we should probably discuss whether that card is actually worth it.
Yeah, the Sunday Times bonus that you get, the £312 worth of Sunday Times, it's arguably not even making a splash. I mean, that's one of the benefits. It's the dining credit for me, £400 of annual dining credit, which actually is one of the big red flags, the big gotcha moments of this card. So much to look out for on this one, isn't there?
Yeah, that truly is. So from what I understand, first of all, it's not like you're getting £400 worth of dining credit and that's it. No, you're getting £200 that you can use within the UK and £200 that you can use abroad. Now it gets complicated. So you're getting £100 for the period between January and June of the year, and then you're getting another £100 for the period between July and December. And you can use that at over 2,000 participating restaurants, which sounds like a lot, but to be honest, I've had a look within my region here. There just isn't any availability, unfortunately.
They're not in Panama.
No, they're not. But what I really dislike is the fact that you have to register if you want to use that credit. So you have to register it. Else, you might be thinking, oh, all right, today I can splurge a little bit.
Yeah.
You might go ahead and order an extra glass of wine, fine wine, and then you figure out, oh, credit doesn't apply, right? And then you end up paying with your own money, and that's something you don't want, obviously.
That's a gotcha. There's also the fact that only primary card holders can qualify for the dining credit. So if you have a supplementary card like your partner and they transact with their card to pay for the dinner, the restaurant bill, whatever it is, that wouldn't qualify. I've actually had this problem with Amex Gold with the Deliveroo credit and my wife paying for it on her Gold card, which she has a supplementary card, and it didn't qualify for the £5 Deliveroo credit. That is slightly insignificant comparatively to this, but that is certainly something to be aware of. There's a couple of other gotchas. It's like dine-in only. It doesn't cover takeaways. One thing to be aware of is, Jan, this could catch people out. Don't dine on the final day when that credit qualification period ends, so to speak. So Jan said, like, you get £100 of credit between January and June the 30th. Well, what if you dine on June the 30th and, I don't know, the transaction's delayed, or you pay for the bill at 12:05, just gone past midnight? Yeah, there's a couple of, that's pretty niche. I appreciate that, but it's a gotcha, right? It's the beginning of something that we'll talk about in this video. Something that we will elaborate on is the idea of an introduction of friction to Amex Platinum, which makes deriving value from the card harder. Something we'll touch on when we talk about the institutification of Amex Platinum. But there's certainly a few things to be aware of with this dining credit, right? And buddy, I'm going on holiday in September. I'm going to Portugal.
Nice.
There are no restaurants.
None.
In Portugal.
In the whole country, or just within the region you're visiting?
There are no restaurants available with this Amex dining credit in Portugal.
Well, that's surprising, because Portugal is a very popular tourist destination.
Yeah, what about Lisbon? There's a town near me. It's one of the oldest towns in the country, possibly in the world. It's old Roman town called Colchester. Someone listening or watching this may have heard of Colchester. There's a restaurant there that I can redeem this dining credit at. It's about 40 minutes away, but not in the whole of Portugal. Like, please, if there's anybody in the comments that are utilizing Amex Platinum, have you encountered this as a problem? It feels like this could be a big issue for some people. Switzerland isn't on there either, which is somewhere that I've visited quite frequently and I plan to go back to.
It's absolutely ridiculous. Not sure what to think about it at all.
It's less of an issue with lounge access.
Lounge access, yeah. You should get availability with most airports. You get a priority pass with the Amex Platinum, which is better than the Dragon Pass that the Revolut Ultra card, for example, provides, and other passes. I think priority pass probably is the gold standard when it comes to these kind of lounge access passes. You don't just get one; you could technically get two, because with an Amex Platinum, you're entitled to a supplementary card, and that supplementary card can get their own priority pass. So let's say you have a partner, your partner is traveling for business independently sometimes, then your partner will be able to enjoy lounges even if you're not there.
It's good for a family of four as well.
It is. You can bring a guest typically. In the past, actually, you've been in some lounges, you've been able to bring in more guests than one. You were able to bring in two, for example, in the Centurion lounge, I believe, and that's being cut down. Something we're going to talk about later, which I find quite sad. Johnny, you said that within the UK, typically at Heathrow, other really busy airports, you have problems accessing lounges in many cases, right? There's a long queue.
Yeah.
Or, you might not be able to get in at all as a priority pass holder.
Yeah, look, I'm not the only person this is going to have happened to. I'm sure there's many of you out there that are listening or watching this. I have had to queue for multiple lounges in the past and have learned the hard way that pre-booking is essential. You have to pre-book, and it can often come at a cost, which is quite ironic, really, because these lounge passes, this lounge access is meant to be included. It's meant to have already been paid for. Now, Amex are giving you 8 pre-booking credits per calendar year.
That's not much at all.
I mean, this is the problem with lounge access. This is the commoditization of lounges, isn't it? But it's just become this saturated add-on feature that no longer feels very premium. And I'm afraid that's the problem here as well.
It doesn't, Johnny. And I do travel. Well, I've traveled business class quite often in the past year and the years before that, and I must say that whenever I had access to a lounge, it was super busy. There were maybe 2 or 3 exceptions where I really had a good time and it felt like a premium experience with, fine wine, champagne. I had a seat, but in many cases, especially in Central Europe, that's a big problem. Zurich, that's an airport that's well known for having super busy lounges. I guess because Swiss people are typically quite rich, I guess, on average. Last time I was there, I had to stand literally. So I picked up I think it was a sandwich and a coffee, and I left and I went to my gate. And that can't be the purpose of this card.
Well, I was about to say, what does that do then to the value of this card? Does it diminish the value of this card because it's just lounge access really isn't that fancy anymore? And in fact, some people would probably rather be in a terminal just near the gate than in a stuffy lounge where even with pre-booking, you get in there and it's full. The food, the buffet is empty, sparse. You can't get service. It's dirty.
Yeah.
Maybe at some point we're going to see a split. We're going to see some sort of product split here where there will be a greater tier of lounge access, a more exclusive lounge access.
Yeah.
I don't know. Something has to happen, right? Because it means that this feature has diminished in value, at least in my opinion. And I don't think people are necessarily drawn to Amex Platinum for this anymore, at least not those that know what lounges are truly like or can be like.
You're absolutely right, Johnny. You're absolutely right.
There were some additional benefits to the lounge access, right? Jan touched on it. You got access to Amex. You get access to the Amex Centurion lounges, for example, in London Heathrow Terminal 3.
Which are good, but busy.
I've heard that as well. I've never been in one, but I've heard they can be busy. Lufthansa as well.
Yeah, airlines of the Lufthansa group. So that's Lufthansa, Swiss, Austrian, I believe, Brussels Airlines, and a few others. If you're flying on these, you get access to lounges. But I think that's ending in October 1st, which is quite sad.
Of course it is. Of course it is. Of course it is. There you go. Arguably another case of enshittification.
Eurostar. That's the train, right? The underground.
You get quick. Yeah, you get quick access from somewhere like London to Paris, for example. There's also Brussels and Amsterdam. You get access to the lounges, although I don't believe you can bring a guest in. That is a nice addition. There's no doubt there. But
I'm curious how these train lounges are at all. I know them from Germany. If you're traveling first class with Deutsche Bahn, it's not premium at all. You might get a pretzel. That's it. It's really nothing fancy. Really, it's nothing fancy at all. So I'd be curious how these Eurostar lounges are. But that's just a side thing. I guess I'll figure it out eventually in my lifetime. But for now, I'm good.
Let's talk about the hotels, and the hotel status stuff, because this can actually be very compelling and very lucrative when redeemed properly, right?
Yeah, that's absolutely big benefit, especially for frequent travelers. So you get Hilton Honors Gold, Marriott Bonvoy Gold Elite, Radisson, the premium status, and gold status with Melia hotels. In my opinion, Hilton Honors and Marriott Bonvoy are probably the ones standing out here just because of the fact that they have a huge network, and
most people have stayed at Hilton.
I've stayed in a few in the past. It can also be a hotel of the Hilton group. The benefits really depends on where you're staying exactly. Hilton Honors get free breakfast typically, plus they might upgrade you. With Marriott Bonvoy, late checkout, plus they upgrade you if it's available. If it's not available because all the suites are booked, for example, you gotta live with the room category that you've booked. And these other statuses, to be honest, not even worth mentioning. Radisson and Melia, because on Radisson you get a 20% discount booster. Not sure what that means exactly. And also Melia gives you 20% vouchers plus 2-for-1 breakfast in case you decide to purchase it. Skeptical about that. But Hilton Honors and Marriott Bonvoy, good options. I wish I had them myself as well. Can be useful.
I just checked. It covers 18. The Hilton Honors covers 18 hotel brands. Some other benefits you get include access to fine hotels and resorts or the hotel collection, as well as elite status with car rental companies like Hertz and Avis. And on paper, all of this sounds incredibly premium. You get hotel credit, room upgrades, late checkout, car upgrades, rental discounts. But as always with Amex, the devil's in the detail. So with the hotel collection specifically, the stay has to be at least 2 consecutive nights booked through Amex Travel, which likely won't be as cheap as going direct. And the cardholder actually needs to stay there, which I know probably sounds pretty normal, but that does mean you can't get this as a gift. Now, the important part, that $100 hotel credit is not cashback. It's a property credit, so you can only get the value if you spend money at the hotel itself, which means, booking a spa or spending money at the restaurant, which you might not do, but you have to if you want to make use of this credit. Also, problems arise because some restaurants or spas inside hotels might not qualify if they're operated by third parties. That means some people do get caught out when they expect the credit to apply and realize it doesn't. And things like room upgrades, early check-in, late checkout, those are never guaranteed. They're entirely based on availability. Then you've got the car rental, where Platinum gives you elite status with Hertz and Avis. But again, there is friction. You don't automatically get the benefit just for having the card. You have to separately enroll in each loyalty program first. Once you do, you can get things like discounts on rentals. You can get potential car class upgrades and extra flexibility on returns, which are all good. But just like the hotel benefits, a lot of the value will depend on availability as well as, location specific and whether you naturally travel in a way that actually uses these perks. You've got to rent cars to make use of that. You've got to want to upgrade your car. You've got to want to seek these out. It's not that easy. And honestly, Jan, this is kind of the story of Platinum as a whole. A lot of the benefits are genuinely valuable, yes, but they're also designed with layers of conditions that make them harder to fully redeem.
Where there's surprisingly little friction? On the insurance benefit. Amex has an extraordinarily comprehensive insurance, in my opinion. So you get a medical insurance with £2 million of cover that includes your partner, kids under 25, and grandchildren that are traveling with you. You get car hire access protection. So you can literally decline the extra insurance when you hire a car. I believe it's up to £50,000 of vehicle damage, so it should cover most middle class cars. Cancellation protection up to £7,500 per person. Baggage delay protection worth £300, I believe. And something that I find pretty interesting, a gap year extension. So typically you're covered only, I believe it's 90 days, right? 90 days is the period you're covered for trips. But if you have a kid who decides to go on a gap year, that can be covered up to a year, which I find quite rare and genuinely valuable.
You could see that being incredibly beneficial because I imagine gap year insurance to be quite expensive. You're asking for someone to cover a teenager traveling around the world for up to 365 days. It's not going to be £650, all right? We know that. No one should get Platinum just for the gap year insurance. There are a couple of catches though, like over 70, for example, the medical cover disappears entirely. It's not even reduced, it's just gone. There's some pre-existing conditions, like cardiovascular stuff that is just entirely excluded from medical cover. There's no time frame on that whatsoever. And most of the benefits of the insurance do require the trip to be booked on the card.
But I believe not the medical insurance, right?
No, you're absolutely right. Not medical, sorry. No, you're absolutely right. Medical cover is exempt and that's automatic regardless. It's solid. It's certainly not one of the things that's been cut or that has been a victim of enshittification, which we should probably clarify for those that aren't familiar with the term. At this point, I'm sure many people are, but it's basically the gradual decline in product quality or service quality as the value shifts away from the consumer, so like us, to the shareholders, so like executives, people that are getting dividends from Amex. It's about shifting value to those people. And that's why you've seen the Harvey Nichols credit disappear, because that was £100 of annual credit that you just had to show up, spend, and redeem. And now, yes, they replaced it with dining credit, but arguably there's more friction, right, Jan? It's harder to redeem. It's harder to derive value from. Jan mentioned the Centurion Lounge. That used to be, I believe, 2 guests. Now it's only going to be 1 guest from July the 8th, 2026. Again, Lufthansa. That's going in October. That lounge access benefit. The concierge service as well, Jan. Let's briefly talk about this. Now, if you're listening to this, watching this, and you've used Amex Platinum's concierge service, drop in the comments what your experience was like. We'd love to hear from you. But what we're reading online, what people are saying is it's becoming more and more less about human interaction and more about pushing you to like in-app chatbots or assistants, which is ironic really, Jan, because Amex Platinum, when it came out in 1991, was all about the human service. It was essentially like a hotline buddy that you could call if you had a problem. Lose your card in Rome because you're pickpocketed, call it up, and they will do everything they can to get that card back to you. It was all about human service, but I think one would argue that Amex Platinum and this concierge service, at least, is becoming less and less human. And what about the retention offers as well? They're not as enticing anymore either.
So in the past, you were able to get up to 50,000 points just by renewing your card. And now that's typically much lower. I think 25,000 points, and you got to spend a certain amount of money in order to trigger that renewal bonus, which is you can see it's declining. It's declining. The question is just, the question is not, is it declining? The question is it still good? Is it still worth it, right? That's what people should ask themselves and then make the calculation based on the facts that we just explained.
Who's it worth it for?
Who is it worth it for? It's a good question, yeah. Is it a good travel card? One would think so. looking at the benefits that are included, lounge access, dining credit abroad, travel insurance, you would think this is an amazing travel card. But then, then you read the fine print and figure out that they charge 2.99% every time you transact in foreign currency. That's not a travel card then. It's useless abroad. It's useless.
No, it's not.
You can't use it.
It's hilarious, isn't it?
It's unfortunate, really. So it's not hilarious. A good travel card in my opinion. It's just it's a value bundle and a good domestic card, I guess, because you still earn one Amex point per pound that you spend. So it can be somewhat worth it, but even there, if you look at cashback cards, there are probably better options out there. If you want to collect Avios at a good rate, there's the Barclaycard Avios Plus, I believe, that gives you 1.5 Avios per pound that you spend. So who is this worth it for? People that can make use of all these features. That's what it is. And it's probably its own product category because it's not a travel card. It's not a subscription bundle. It's a lifestyle accessory. That's what it is, right? That's my interpretation, at least.
I mean, there certainly are clear winners, people who this will be worth it for. I mean, frequent flyers, people that are going to able to fly to locations where the dining credit can be redeemed. Maybe they also like to read the Times, the Sunday Times. It can be done and it can be very beneficial, particularly in that first year. I mean, most people should be able to walk away in the green, right? With that 75 to 90,000 welcome bonus. Which is quite astronomical, really, isn't it, when you think about how easy it is to qualify for. I think Amex accept making a loss on the first year, and they hope to tie people in, and maybe gradually, I'm afraid to say this, the value, Jan, will diminish further over time.
Potentially, we can't know for sure.
We can't know for sure, but the alternatives aren't really screaming out either. You briefly talked about the Barclaycard Avios Plus, £240 a year. Yes, you get the Avios earn rate of 1.5 and the cabin upgrade voucher, but you're not getting lounge access. The HSBC Premier World Elite card's available at £290 a year with Priority Pass and a dining credit at half the price. But, you're not getting the fine hotels and resorts, hotel status. You're not getting the breadth of Priority Pass. Supplementary card holders, I think you have to pay for with the HSBC Premier World Elite. It doesn't really have a huge amount of competition either, does it? Which is making it arguably worth more. Revolut Ultra isn't really a competitor because it's a debit card. The lounge access, you don't get like a supplementary card holder or a guest. So I think that helps increase the worth makes this more compelling, Jan. But it's about being able to navigate the friction of deriving value from the benefits and looking at the fine print.
Absolutely. Take a look at your own behavior, your own spending, your travel behavior, what you actually consume. And then have a look at the details and make an informed decision. That's all I'm asking. And please write into the comments if you also agree with me that Amex Platinum seems like its own product category, essentially. Because it's not a travel card, it's not a subscription bundle, really.
It's good.
What is it, right? It's a lifestyle accessory. That's what it is. And let us know if you're using it. I'd be curious if you made good experiences in the past. And I hope you enjoyed this episode. And see you next time.
All right, everybody. Thanks for tuning in.